The other thing, our relationship with the world and being the size organization we are, we have a great opportunity to impact. And we have a very robust corporate and social responsibility program. And the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, we recently signed an agreement with them. And I talk about this because it's really bold and it's really broad, and it is about our quality of life services, which I've already talked about. Our goal is to be able to measure. I want to be able to be on your campus, and I want to be able to say, this is what we do and this is how it impacts you, much further than what we currently do. We'll measure customer satisfaction in a survey. We'll do some of that. I can see the numbers. I can see how well we're doing to your targets, et cetera. We want to measure, is the quality of life improving? Are we meeting those goals? And what we're doing with the OECD is that we're sharing research and data across the world on how quality of life can contribute to a prosperous economy and to a society around the globe. And I know it sounds kind of, woo, really? But I've been involved in some of this work. And I really, one of the things that I think is exciting about Sodexo right now is that we are looking out. We are looking at what's changing and how can we improve things. And this is really going to be some exciting work. Perhaps I'll come back in a few years and give you an update. Our relationship with the rest of Sodexo. I wanted to put a little bit of context around Sodexo education around the globe because we're in 47 countries. So our business of Sodexo Worldwide is in 80 countries. Education's in 47 of them. We have 6,000 partners across the world, and over 100,000 of those 420,000 are in the education market. The majority of our business, 95% of our education business is in 10 countries. North America, certainly, and the United States is a large part of it. I talk about this because we also have a program called Global Chefs. And one of the things in a company this big and this broad is how do you share? How do you get to be able to ensure you're not recreating the wheel every time you're doing something? What about culinary work in Brazil, and are we able to do that? I head up our global education market champion group, and I try to do that and make sure we're talking to each other. But we have a global chef program, which is bringing over chefs from other countries, and they will be on your campus. And you can always tell when a global chef is there because the line is out the door. They do demonstration cooking, and there's different flavors, and it's been a powerful thing for our partners, but it's also been a powerful thing for our employees because we're bringing a chef, from Chile or from Brazil or from France, or we send one over, and they get exposed to the broader company. And it's a great opportunities for, we also host international interns. We host from other countries here, and we send abroad. So this slide is about our relationship with ICHRIE, and I'm going to bring it back to kind of this room and talk about, what needs do you have of Sodexo and how we can fill that, because that's what this partnership is about. We have opportunity to sponsor a lot of organizations. Why do we choose ICHRIE? Well, because you have what we need. And we need the talent that you create. And I can tell you, we have a program, a student manager program, that we really want more students to be able to start on the college campus and grow their careers with us. I have a number of examples as I was preparing. Our head of human resources for the education market, a woman by the name of Lori Tomlins, is senior vice president of human resources over our 70,000 education employees. She started as a student manager. Our president of our campus division, Tom Post, who reports to me and manages the campus business, started as a student manager. Those stories to me, not having had that experience, are incredible. They have had wide range. I've asked them, because they've been in the company obviously a few years, and I said, why did you stay? Because I have been in a number of different companies, and they said, I have had a multiple, career paths within this one company. And I hadn't thought of it that way. And that's what we have for your students, and that's what we can provide. When I talk to students today, and as I said, I talk to a lot of them, and I always say, if you want to work internationally, you let us know early, because we have those opportunities. And it's really hard for us to get people to move out of the United States to other countries, and there's always a need. And I just think it's just an amazing way. I'm just such a fan of this industry anyway, and the restaurant industry, but to develop and grow a career. And the other thing, and I'm going to transition a little bit into this education industry, and I talked about, is changing. And I just kicked off some long-term strategy work within the company, because you look at some of the things, and on the front page of the paper, way too often today is about the value gap, and is a college degree worthwhile, and is it worth the money, and and funding for public educations is dwindling. I just read a book, and in it talked about that public funding from the state will go away completely, and it probably will be sooner rather than later. The different delivery methods for education, much more virtual. What I'm trying to determine, so what does that mean for our business? But you certainly have the impact there. But the big question is, how are we going to adapt to that? And what is Sodexo going to do to help our partners in this changing environment? And that's what I see our job is. And to transition more to that and to the economy, the National Restaurant Association's estimates we have 13 million people in the restaurant industry, and it's 9% of the U.S. workforce, growing at 12%, adding 1.8 million jobs. But you read in the paper about, well, it's low-paying jobs, and what are the types of jobs? And I dispute that. I think that we create fantastic jobs for people. We have part-time opportunities in this industry. We have hourly opportunities. We have opportunities for people throughout their career, whether they want to go to school and they want to work, whether they are brand new into the workforce, or whether, like I talked about Lori and Tom, that they want to make a career of it, and they start at a student manager type of position. The National Restaurant Association that I do sit on the board of, we are working on a lot of publicity around changing that perception of our industry, so that when your students go out to work, this is an industry of opportunity. We have a number of fantastic high-profile chefs, and I know, being on the board of trustees of the Culinary Institute, that everyone wants to be that guest chef on TV, and they want to they want to open their own restaurant. But there is a world of opportunity. When I guest lecture at the CIA, I talk about our industry, and I go, I bet you haven't thought about our industry. And just to keep people's eyes open, and that's what I ask of you. I really ask you to, and we are happy to help, but keep your students' eyes open to the depth and the breadth of this industry, the food service industry, and all the different things that folks can do. So I'm going to talk briefly about my relationships and my board work and some of the things that I do, because as I got into this industry and I realized how relationship-oriented it is and how important that is. And it fit well. I like people. I get energy from people. It's like I walk into a room like this and I feel like I have all sorts of new friends. I'm sure I will by the end of the evening. But my board work, whether it's the National Restaurant Association, the Ed Foundation of the NRA, the Board of Trustees, I just finished my being chair of the board of the Women's Food Service Forum, which is about elevating women leaders in this industry. And I was talking to Chad earlier, I've really got to connect ICHRIE with the Women's Food Service Forum because it's a fantastic leadership development organization. All of that is about giving back to this industry. There is a part of that about giving back to the industry. There is a part of my volunteer work which is about branding of Sodexo. We don't do much advertising, and so who Sodexo is can be invisible, and so who Sodexo is about the people that you meet from our company, and being on boards and being able to give back in that way helps with that. I also recently joined both of my alma mater's advisory boards for their business school. And I'm fortunate that both of Tulane and TCU are partners of ours, and I look forward to that, to being able to give back in that way from the business school boards. And then really the relationship for the future. And these are a few programs. I just want to highlight some of them that we're involved with. I'm sure many of you know ProStart program is the National Restaurant Association Educational Foundation. Sodexo is a big sponsor of ProStart. It's a 2-year high school culinary program in junior and senior high. And then there's a competition, and there's state competitions, and then there's the national competition. And I got involved with that when I got on the board and became a judge. And I was management case judge in one of the annual competitions, the national competitions. And I had never been to a competition before, and it was fantastic. It was all of these high school students from across the country, and they were incredibly talented. And they are probably, many of them are in your programs, and we get a tremendous amount of value out of our work with ProStart. We send our teams in to be judges and help and train, and they get a lot out of them. We also, the hospitality programs that you all run and educate, we have partnerships at many of them here in the room, and we're so grateful for our partnerships and how we will help. We will go in and we will talk about our business. We will not only try to hire your students when they graduate, but we will also work on internships for them. The other couple of things that I wanted to mention, I talked about the Sodexo Foundation. We provide scholarships. We do scholarships on an annual basis for students through the Sodexo Foundation. We have the Sodexo Future Leaders Internship Program where we can give back with paid internships to our college students, and we mentor them and we take them through. And one who I spoke with via email this week was a gentleman by the name of Ulysses Charles, and he was at Johnson & Wales and was a Sodexo ambassador for us, and we hired him as a food service manager. He began his career in 2009, and I didn't want to mention him without getting his approval, and I got the nicest email back from him about how happy he was within the company and what he was doing. But we've recently broadened our internship program to include military veterans, and we have a large focus on military veterans. We are a partner with Joining Forces, which is the administration's initiative to hire our veterans, and so that has really been something we've enjoyed and get a lot out of. And we also, I've been on I was in the founding meetings for the Let's Move initiative, the First Lady's elementary and middle school program around ending childhood obesity. We also, our Emerging Leaders program is about that training of the next generation.